Hi, I'm Simone and this is the Flow Experiment. Today I want to take you through one of 3 videos to showcase 3 sure ways to kickstart flow into your daily life. Now before I start, there's one truism that I have to make sure that we acknowledge, and that is that flow cannot be created. So if you're feeling low or stuck in life, then saying affirmations or increasing your productivity is not going to assist you. What you have to do is focus on aligning yourself and then releasing those core beliefs that are driving your words and your actions. And that's what today is going to be about with our ingredient number 1 of 3. Now, once you know the secret, which is aligning yourself to your flow, you'll recognize that there are thousands of ways to align to flow. And these 3 have been my core foundational ones, which I practice as much as I can. And I would invite you to make this a daily practice. As you practice these 3 practices, you'll find that things will start to shift in your outside world because you're shifting your inside world. So, these practices might seem really simple, and they are. They might seem obvious, and they are. But don't underestimate their power. Because the more simple things are, the more you realize that you can deepen just by acting into them. And then the other thing I want to mention is that although flow cannot be created, experience can be created. And that's a very core thing to remember when it comes to creating the reality that you want to create and manifesting the desires that you want to bring into your life. So let's ignite some flow into your life using a very powerful tool called imagination. So this is where your inner child comes out to play. And beautifully said by Albert Einstein, he said, logic can take you from A to B, but imagination can take you everywhere. So let's take a journey into everywhere. And number 1 core ingredient of those 3 is make life a good friend. I've sometimes been criticized for having a bubble of denial because I like to see the light in everything. And you might ask me, well, Sims, do you see the pain and the darkness in life? Absolutely. Do I sometimes wake up not feeling human because I'm in so much anguish or pain? Oh, 100% yes. And do I sometimes have to deal with people who are bullish or manipulative or just downright rude? Yes. But do I change my core belief that life is my friend and that everything is intrinsically good? Never. And that's what I want to share with you today. What is your relationship to life? Because what your relationship to life is probably the most important question you could ever ask yourself. That is the feedback you will get in your everyday experiences based on the relationship that you choose to have with life. So having said that, I want to ask you, what is your relationship to life? Is it harsh? Do you see life as an enemy? Do you see life as a dog-eat-dog kind of world? Or do you see life as a playground of opportunity, as a very good friend who has your best interest at heart? Or do you see life as being a space of infinite possibility? If you go for the former, and I'm sure your imagination can take you to what that consequence might be, you might experience fatigue and tiredness and even depression. You might experience tense muscles and dis-ease in your body. If you go for the latter relationship, you might find that things just kind of come with less effort. People support you out of nowhere, and that basically you shift and allow in flow a lot easier. So this is a very, very important ingredient, is to understand your relationship and to choose a relationship that adds value. And that's why the first of 3 ingredients is to say, make life a good friend. So what happens when we do that is a few things will start to happen. We might recognize that dark things happen because that's just part of life. We might take life less personally. To the degree, in fact, that you take life personally is to the degree that you will suffer in challenging times. You might also recognize that people are just doing what they can do with the resources that they have in order to survive, and that it's not a game to get at you. You might also see that life is good and that people can be trusted. And so you might also then start to relax your muscles and open your heart And that's when the fun really starts to happen, because then flow starts to come in. And once that happens, you start to feel more compassion. You start to see where other people have a harsh relationship with life. And you start to see how their relationship to life has affected their own closedness or tenseness. And so you can feel what they're going through. And the more compassion you feel, something else starts to happen. You start to feel like you're expanding. And the more you expand, the more movement there is of flow into your life. So, here is your practice for today, or at least your invitation. And I'm going to give you two. The first one is to start seeing every single moment as a friend, no matter how it shows up. Whether it's painful or whether it's beautiful, it's still a friend. And the moment you start to see that every moment and that life is a friend, you will start to see that you can treat life as you would a good friend. So I want you to imagine, and get your imagination caps on, that right now you're sitting with a good friend. How does your demeanor change? How does your tone of voice change? How does your body language change? Do you open up more? Are you more curious? Do you really get that no matter how much that friend might hurt you, that they have your best interest at heart and that they would never do anything to do that on purpose? Are you more open, less judgmental? So if you were to replace that good friend with life, what starts to open up for you? So practice number 2. How would your daily behavior start to change if life became a good friend? And I want you to write this down in a journal, in a piece of paper somewhere. It's a really important question to ask, because the more tangible you can get in writing down those answers, the more and the easier it is for you to step into that on a daily basis. So for example, maybe you become more patient with your mother-in-law. Maybe you are less frustrated in the traffic. Maybe when you have an argument with your spouse, you can just learn to soften a little bit more. Or maybe you can learn to trust that colleague in the corner who you think has something out to get you. And so what you start to do is start to see that life is not a personal vendetta against you. So with that being said, I'd like to do a little quick outro to this video, which is that when you start to see life as a good friend, it does start to shift core belief systems, and it might not be comfortable, but it'll certainly be worth it. And you'll see the value more and more and more as you practice that perception, because really growth is about changing your perception and then stepping into that perception as an action. And that the other thing to leave with this video with is knowing that although life is now your good friend, you can't get rid of pain, because pain is part of life. As much as joy needs to be there, pain needs to be there. But the second ingredient I'm going to share with you in video 2 will show you and really showcase how you can lean into those challenging times, those testing times, with a little bit more grace. So be sure to catch me in video 2. And in the meantime, to end off, thank you for listening. Think of the top 3 people that you think might gain value from listening to this video, and please do invite them to join our community group. If you want to, if you feel moved to, you can also follow my blog at www.theflowexperiment.com. Thank you.